Okay, it says I'm back. We lost power for a few minutes, guys. I'm hoping this is going to stop. I don't blame you if you don't want to stick around for, is it going to stay or is it not? But when you have these big ice hunks falling off trees, onto power lines, I was hoping it would be done by now, but I still see big hunks of ice falling. So if you come back, I will be very happy. And we'll just talk until we can't talk. I don't know what else to say. Sorry about this. But as I said, I'm in North Carolina in the Piedmont area. And we weren't hit as hard as Virginia. Hi, Sonia. We just lost power. I mean, it just, bloop, it was gone. And I had to wait a few minutes for it to come back on and the internet to get going again. What a mess. So let's see who else comes back. They might say, I'm not sticking around for this craziness. I mean, I don't know what's going on. She's got a bird and she has to start it 3 times. And the bird went upstairs. Mark came down to see how the power was, and she was kind of antsy. And I said, go ahead and take her up. She's already said hello. Oh, Sonia. Yep, Sonia's and Diane Wright. You found me again. I lost power. So we'll talk real fast in case I lose it again. But I wonder, I'm waiting for Miss Bonnie. I'm hoping Miss Bonnie finds me. And so I always show you if I buy something during the week. And it's been kind of a quiet week. So did I tell y'all I found a really good deal on blue jeans? And I'm trying to remember whether it was Woman Within, I think, or Romans. And that's for us, us voluptuous ladies sizes. And I ended up getting a pair of jeans, 40% off for $13.99 or $12.99, and get the second one for half of that. And so I got another pair of jeans for $5.99. So that was a good deal. Anyway, hello. Yay, Diane is back. Bonnie's back. Okay, we got our group. So I was just telling about my good jeans deal. And, sometimes I get tired of the emails from Women Within and Romans, but boy, I only buy something on sale. I don't pay regular price for anything. I will check my email. Yay. My power went out, guys. I'm sorry with this ice falling off trees and stuff. I'd show you out the window, but unless you happen to see the ice fall right at that moment, there's not much to see. Since there's no sun out, you're not getting that beautiful gleam off the trees. Michelle came back. Our power went out, Michelle. You know how it is here with the storm and our power lines. I wish we could bury all of our power lines, but we're vulnerable. So this week, I don't have a pair down handy to show you, but you know the old Fiskars flat edge scissors that used to have the comfort grip handle, and they've got the spring, so all you have to do is squeeze to close and they come back open? Well, I noticed a piece of spring on my sewing table the other day, and I finally realized when I picked up my scissors, I thought, oh, the spring broke. So Mark said, how long have you had these? I said, 20 years. He said, 20 years? They don't owe you anything. So he said, order a new pair. So anyway, I went online and I went on eBay, and it's hard to find them. It's easier to find the shorter bladed ones, but I like them. I like the blade to be at least this long. And the new ones are like this. And that's just not long enough for me. So I'm looking, but they're a little expensive. But on the way, I found one of my favorite things that I used to have that died on me a couple years ago. And it is a Black & Decker. Well, let me show you the name. It's a Black & Decker. And I looked for these again, but they're $100. I bought mine from Home Depot or Lowe's 10, 12 years ago for $9.99. Had no idea they were going to be that good, but when I found out, I should have gone back and bought a bunch more. So I found this on eBay, and I've bought it never. And this little thing that goes in the wall, and now if I have the charger plugged in, it won't work. But I don't know if you can see it moving, but I loved having this. Now, they say you can use it to open hard packages and all that, but when I found this, and of course I had to pay $22 for it now. Free shipping though. But here was the packaging. But they don't make this kind anymore. Evidently, they probably make a heavier duty one. And so it's $100. And I'm not going to spend that. So it says it'll open all this. But when I was cutting out yards, 12 yards of fabric for my daughter's wedding dress, this is what I used, and it was wonderful. So this is all I bought this week besides the 2 pairs of jeans that are a really good price. But I always like to show you what I buy. Okay. Then I was busy printing out business cards because I get out somewhere and I want to tell somebody about our YouTube channel, and I don't have a business card. So this week I got on the computer and made up a bunch of business cards. And you know I'm cheap, so I make it up on a 20-year-old Printmaster program, and I print them out. Oh, making car liners. Oh, wow. You're so funny, Diana. So cute. Georgia is lovely. Wow, Susan Smith, somebody must have taken a Georgia is lovely. I'm not going to put that one just in case. Okay. Now, but anyway, so what I do is I make this up in my old Printmaster program, and then I print it on cardstock, and then I have my little $9.99 run the thing paper trimmer, and I trim them. I've told y'all I'm cheap, right? And so I said, well, what am I going to carry them in? Because, you know, if you get them wet, that's it. But so what I did is I found an old Altoids container. Yay! That way, they're nice and safe. They won't get bent. But then every time I want to give people a card, frugal, that's nice of you, Diane. Every time I want to give people a card, I'm pulling out Altoids. So guess what I did? I got some pretty fabric. Bonnie, I think this might be the fabric you gave me. I loved it. I cut the piece of it. And then remember when I was showing you different ways of doing applique, and I made one of those leaves? And Diane 57, this is that fabric you said looked like windshield wipers. Remember, I loved when you said that. That was so cool. So I got out my Mod Podge, and I Mod Podged the lid of the Altoid tins. So now, and that cost me nothing. So now, when I'll have this in my purse, and I'll pull it out and say, oh, would you like one of my business cards? There. And see, they won't say cheap. They'll say creative. Oh, I'm full of it. But anyway, I thought it was a good thing. Guys, now I sound like Martha Stewart. It's a good thing. Oh, okay. So now I'm going to show you what I'm getting. Busy Pat. Hello, Busy Pat. Let me check my email real quick because I think Bonnie might have sent me the picture of her paint chip challenge. Oh, I love it too. Okay, be right back. Let me check. I made sure that I had it too. I am so excited. She finished hers first. It made me want to go right away and finish mine. And then I didn't quite get around to it. Okay, are you ready to see Bonnie's? Oops, I want it to stay big. Hold on. Oops. Okay. Ready? Look at this beautiful thing. It's a sea turtle, and it shows the land and then the water. Is that exquisite? I think it is so beautiful. So, as far as I'm concerned, Bonnie wins. I'm not sure what she wins, but she wins. And I am going to get back. I promise I'm going to get back to my paint chip challenge. So, isn't that gorgeous? I had to show you all that. I was just so proud of that. So, okay, let me see, gals. Didn't she do a great job? Yay, Miss Bonnie. Talented lady. In so many ways, I can't even tell you. All right. So, I'm trying to get myself organized. I thought I would share. Oh, I know. You know what, though? We're all wonderful. Even if we're behind on our stuff, we'll just keep working on it. That's how I have to look at it anyway. So I got myself out a purple notebook. Purple made me feel powerful. That's a power color. I put winter 2019, winter, spring. I'm going to get myself organized. So we meet every Tuesday. I love Diana. Diana, right now we've got Diana 57. We've got a couple Pats, a couple Dianas, only one Bonnie. I don't think we'll ever have another Bonnie. She's one of a kind. And what I'm going to do, and I printed out a January calendar and wrote down the stuff I have to do. And I glued it, good old Elmer's glue, in the side of the cover. And then I wrote a list of what I have to do to get ready. I have to have all this done by tomorrow night. So what do I have to make? Chicken salad, brownies, and boiled eggs. Food to take, what to pack, what kind of clothing, if I'm going to take kiwi or not. What is this? Oh, wait till I tell you about the pattern. Or did I don't think I told you that. What days I'll be gone, what meals for each day. So, this morning I got up at 11 because our power went out from 4 a.m. to 11 a.m. And I got up and said, okay, girlfriend, we're getting busy. And let me close out my notebook here. But as you can see, I got a list of things to do. Hi, Vicki Lemire. Nice to see you here. We're tickled. I don't think we have a Vicki, so she's our first Vicki. So then I have my folder, 2019 Myrtle Beach Quilt Party, and my name on everything in case I lose it, because this is going to guide me through this coming week. So, and here's what it looks like when I signed up. Here is the registration sheet. And I signed up for classes, gave them information. They ask you to put your top 3 choices. And the very day this comes in the email, I fill out the registration, put a check in it, and go put it in a mailbox. I mean, I get it in the mail that very day. I go to the post office, put it in the mailbox. So I've got information about the classes that each of the teachers sent to us. And then all right. Then here's the other class. I'm taking 2 classes. One class all day Thursday, all day Friday. Then the other class all day Saturday. And then they have 2 pages of rules and hints. And after all the rules, but have fun. They always have to put rules in. You know how that is. So I've got that to put in here. Then I printed out directions. So I will now put that in here. And here's for the other class. And then brought in my new GPS I got for Christmas from Santa Claus. And Mark put the address in that. So I got that done. And so now the so this is the good stuff I did. Now do you want to hear the real stuff I did? Well, I was really sick for a month, so I just, was just trying to get through. So, yes, it's a new one with a bigger screen. Yay for old eyes. And so, what did Diane 57 say? Vicki, oh, wonderful. Yay. So now how many Texas girls do we have here? We've got Diane 57. Vicki may be a Texan. And our new Diane Wright is a Texan. I mean, Mark has lived in Dallas for 27 years. My favorite things come from Texas and Illinois, Bonnie. Don't worry. I'm still thinking of you. So anyway, and Rhode Island. And yeah, all of y'all. All the best. And Maine, Miss Patty Chamberlain. And Ann from Colorado. I'm trying to remember all this stuff, guys. Oh, Michelle's impressed. She knows I'm the latest to get every gadget there is. I admit it. I admit it. So, okay. So now I thought I would show you. It's so funny. Mark said, don't call this a retreat, hon, because you're busy. I mean, it's a lot of work. So here's the first pattern that we're doing, and it's called Blue Ribbon. And Fig Tree and Company, designed by Joanna Figueroa from Fig Tree and Company. And I thought that is really pretty. And she's doing it a different way. And, oh, I made tags. Let me show you. I had to cut out 20. She only wanted you to cut fabric out for the blocks. And that's why you read the teacher's instructions. And what they do that I have found teachers here don't do, she has you cut out your fabrics before you show up at class. Okay? And looks like I might need to cut some more of these out. But some of these I only had to cut 16 of these. That's easy. This one I had to do 64, I think. But I made labels because I was upstairs and the masking tape was down here, okay? It was too much to walk down the stairs to get the masking tape. So how long did I spend typing up and printing out these labels and then cutting them up and then taping them on with clear tape? But, All right, so here, this was piece I in pink. Because what I want to show you, and this is, I'm doing a whole different coloration. The teacher's idea for it, her idea was more along the lines of this one, but instead of the white in the middle, she had all colors through it. So I thought that was really pretty. Then, because I'm doing my own custom colorization, this is what I work off of when I do my cutting. Because I had to take and figure out where the colors really went and how many I need. And you'll notice on here, if you look, that some of these puppies call for 128 cuts. Took me 2 days. Took me 2 days. But now, do you want to see what coloration? Oh, and so besides looking at all that stuff, I had to put it in EQ8, and I had to work out my own coloration. And this is what I'm going to do. Yes, that is true, Diana. This is what I'm going to do. So I still have a couple questions, like the little sashing that goes around the block. Do I run the green through the sashing and connect it so all the blocks are connected by lines? I have to decide. Plus, the teacher put in cornerstones out here in the sashing. If I run the green, do I still put cornerstones? So I've got to decide, but I thought this looked nice. And she called this part of the pattern wreath. So I like that I put the green behind it instead of the background. So I'll show you my focus fabric. I've had this fabric 10, 11 years, and I'm finally going to use it. Where are my bigger? Well, I want to show you a bigger piece of it. And I'm using these old colored Ziploc bags. I mean, who wants their food in a yellow or green Ziploc? Yeah, not a good idea. But here's my focus fabric. And I just love this. Hey, Jamie's Crafty World is here. Y'all should check out her channel. It's cute as can be. She's doing a great job with her channel. So these are pansies. I love pansies. I mean, how can you look at a face like that and not love it? So this is my focus, pansies. And that's why I'm putting then black for these points. And I thought of putting green for this. And then I've got a purple. Here's my green. Here's my purple. I mean, this is when Moda Marbles first came out. That'll tell you how long ago that was. And I've got my black. And I'm going to take a couple other colors because I'm not sure. I'm going to have to decide if I do those cornerstones. You know, I was thinking, do I add a yellow or gold? But I'm not sure. My background I'm using is a yellowish beige. And I thought that looked kind of fresh around it. So that's why I did kind of a yellowish background this. So, but let me see. Good old black. I keep black handy. Here's the pink. Nope, that's not the pink I'm using. Here's the pink I'm using. Guess what it is, Miss Bonnie? I'm using a pink Stonehenge. So that's my pink. But I've got these other colors that I've pulled out. Not sure what I might use for cornerstones or, and the center, I went ahead and used this green because I thought, let me give it a little bling. And I think these two fabrics do very well together. So this just has a little bit more modelly and a little sparkle on it. So, I told Mark, it is a lot of work preparing for class. It just is. And so I'm using one of my Walmart 3-gallon bags to put everything in, or 2 gallons, or whatever it is. It doesn't say here. But you see how I've got it marked? I've got it marked, got my phone number, what class it is. I hate to admit it. You won't be surprised, but I have left stuff there before. Yes. Sit it down, forget about it. So how are y'all doing? Oh, thank you, Diana. I was trying to do it right. So, but I'm proud of myself because my life is not always this organized. Isn't that amazing? So, and where is one of the pieces? I guess I already showed it. One of the pieces is 1 1/4 inch square. And I think I had to do 128 of those. My new rotary cutter, my Martelli, is doing beautifully. Makes cutting so easy. And you know, I don't know about y'all, but the older I get, the more problems I have with shoulders, you name it. So, all right. So I've got my background, got my pieces. And I wanted to show you something. Let me put all my little bits and bobs in here. Get some things out of the way. But look, this is all my little 1.25 inches. Aren't they cute? I love them. So I kind of become attached, but I just feel, so if my whole life could be like that label, it wouldn't be me, I guess so. So put all these things back. Do not want to lose it. But after I make these couple cuts that I'm going to show you, then this class is all the way ready. And one side, I have my pink tote. Let me show you my pink tote. But this way, you might think it's overkill to have, maybe this is the 1.25 inches. The other one was, I think, 1 3/8. I'm serious. I'm serious. You might think it's overkill to have these printed out like this and so organized, but let me tell you, there's probably 40 to 50 students per class. You have from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, then 1:30 after lunch to 4:30. 2 days, that's it. So that teacher has to teach you everything for that quilt, and that 6 hours one day maybe and 6 hours another day. Yeah, 6 hours. So you have to hit the ground running. I have gone there before, especially in the early days, where I just didn't have time to cut everything out. You end up so far behind, it is frustrating. So I have learned, plan ahead. This is my pink tote. Sadly, I guess Sears isn't around anymore, but I love this thing. And inside, I put everything I need. Note paper, binding clips, sewing machine parts and feet, Advil. You need the Advil. Wound bobbins, which I need to do some more winding. What is in this? Some more sewing machine feet, needles, pin cushions, seam rippers, several different kinds of scissors, Sharpies, friction pins, pencils, just about everything you think you could need, I have in here. Batteries for fans I take, because it does get a little warm. Handy sanitizer. Oh, here's my full pen cushion. So I don't really need to take this one. I'm going to take that out, because I don't need to carry any more weight or mess than I have to. And a planner. My name tag for Myrtle Beach. And this stuff, gloves in a bottle. I don't know, it's supposed to help make your hands smoother. But I've got snips. I pack it. Then on each end, I have all kinds of thread. And one thing I know that I have to do right now while I'm thinking about it is get my beiges. Because beige is what I'm going to want to use on this light yellow. So let me put my beiges in. In fact, I'm not going to need any black. I don't have anything going on in these classes that I need a dark gray or black for. So now I've got quite a few beiges. And let me take out this dark gray. I don't need it. That's been for other classes. I'll take out. All right. So now I have light gray and stuff on this side. I've got beiges on that side. So that's packed. Then I have to pack my machine. And see, I write a list for every single thing, because if I don't have it on my list, I will forget it. And you don't pack your sewing machine unless the foot and the power cord are with it. because there's nothing worse than getting there going, I don't have my power cord. Well, you're 4.5 hours away. Good luck, have fun. So, because there's nothing anybody can do for you if you don't have it. So I don't take that chance. Now I'm going to put these back up there real quick. And, all right. So now, that's good. Then I've got to make sure I take these fabrics. As you take extra. You will not know until you get there. What if you accidentally have cut the wrong size patch? You have to have those extra fabrics. All right. Got my pattern. Put that over there with my tote. Got my photo. All of this stuff. Keeping it together. Because tomorrow night, I have to have my entire car packed. Tomorrow night. So I write a list over a period of about a week, and then I update it continuously. So, all right. And we're staying in a motel. Last time we were able to rent a condo, so that was great. I don't like to go out to eat. I'm a diabetic, so I have to kind of be careful what I eat. But I don't like to go out and eat after I've been doing a long class. I'd rather come home and relax, especially because in the evenings, got to put my friction pin back. But in the evenings, they have a teacher show and tell one night, a yard sale one night, a student show and tell another night, and then the banquet one of the nights. So by the time you get back to your room at 4:30, I don't want to have to go out to eat, come back, and go back up there. So it's just not my thing. So what I am going to do is I made caldo verde the other day. And that is Portuguese green soup. It's made with white beans, chicken broth, a kielbasa, sausage, shredded potatoes, and finely chopped kale. Talk about good for you. So I've got some of that because I made up some the other day and I froze the quart to take. And I'm going to make a chicken salad to take, because that's always ready to eat. Don't have to heat it up or anything, because I asked for a microwave in the room. I might not get one. And then what is the other meal? Oh, I made, my grandmother was Cajun. So I made a Cajun rice called Perlo, and I'm going to take that with me for a meal. So, and then I've got a can of Campbell's Chunky Soup and cheese and crackers and lunch stuff. And then that way I don't have to go out to buy food unless I wish to. So, anyway, that caldo verde is good. It's so funny. We had I tried being Catholic for a while. It didn't take, and I'm no longer Catholic. I'm not anything. But anyway, none of them worked. But while I was Catholic, I was having, I was church secretary for a while, but I knew this priest, Father Pereira, who was a doll baby, and he was born in Portugal. And so he became my son's godfather, and he would drive up to see us, and we stayed in touch until he was too old to travel. But when one of his visits, I wanted to make something Portuguese, so I found that recipe and made it. And I thought, I don't think my kids are going to like this. It's just not something I thought they'd be used to. They loved it. As little kids, they loved it. And they still make it to this day. And if you want a soup that'll if you want the recipe, let me know. I will send you the recipe. But, okay. Evidently, it's quite a special soup to the home people in Portugal. All right. Here's the last piece. Here's the last piece. Last fabric I need to cut. Now, when I'm there, I'll cut the borders, but I think she wants us to get all the blocks done before we figure out borders. So I wanted to show you something. And don't worry, we're going to talk about the Bargello, and then we're going to do the landscape, so don't worry. All right, let me get a cutting mat and my June Taylor cutter. I put everything on top of my June Taylor cutter. Okay. All right. Whoops, this one doesn't have that mark. Let me see. Hold on, guys. All right. This one has the mark I want to show you. All right. So what I'm going to show you, because I've had some people say, how do you do odd cuts? Well, I'm an odd gal, so it's not hard. That's my bailiwick. Love you. Hey, Ann, that was for you. Bailiwick. That was for my Ann. My Ann Shelbear is British. So that's for my Ann. Oh, here's my Fiskars scissors. These are the ones I'm going to get another pair of. But see how nice and long those blades are? Anyway, okay. I'm going to get ready to... I had some pieces in this. Let me tell you about... Talk about tricky to cut. Because, you know, Michelle knows me. I try to cut with the shape cutter rulers. I can't stand having to get a ruler and move it. And oh, these scissors, these are Fiskars. And what's nice about them, I have arthritis. They have a spring. See that spring in there? So the spring keeps them open, and you just push and cut. I also have very big hands, very big fingers, so I like not having to put my fingers and thumb in little finger holes. I mean, you know, I do love these scissors, but every time you pick them up and put them down, you have to pick them up carefully. This, I just grab, and you go, boop, you go. So they're nice. Okay. So let me tell you some of the sizes I had to cut. Rectangles 3 by 2 1/4. 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. And 4 3/4 inch squares. 3 by 2 1/4, 1 3/8 inch squares, and 1 1/4. Those are not fun. I like 2 1/2 inch squares, 3 inch squares. Come on, give me a round it to a half, people. That's not what it was. So you have to do what you have to do. So let me bring this down and show you how do you use, push that back. How do you use a shape cutter ruler when you have to cut an oddball size? So let me get my fabric. See how I fold this? It's accordion fold. That is the easiest way to be able to pull out your fabric. If you fold it like a long half and in half and in half, every time you want to cut a little piece, you've got to totally open that fabric again. And I'm sorry, ladies, I got stuff to do. In fact, I've got stuff I was supposed to have already done. Okay, let me pull this. Whoa, don't do this again, Deb. All right, whoops. Hold on. Let me get this. All right, so I've got this little cutter right here. Then I have my fabric folded, and I've already taken the time to make sure it's laying smoothly, because remember, it's not about making the edges match. It's about making sure the fabric's laying comfortably. You don't want to get some of those elbows in fabric. So it's laying comfortably. And let me see how close these... Okay, I'm still going to trim up this end. Every time you move it, it gets a little bit off. So I'm first going to take and trim up. I put my line in line with the fabric. Whoops. I line up this line down here with the edge of the fabric. And then I sit this here so I can trim a little bit off. And see, I'm sitting down now, so watch how easy it is to use this Martelli rotary cutter. And I don't try to spend your money. I just, if something works, I want to show you. So now I've got this edge cleaned up. So what it said, it told me to cut a 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. Okay, let's see how we're going to do this. All right, now 5 1/2, that would be easy. These shape cut rulers have a little line here. That's the quarter line mark. So if you need to cut 3 3/4, you line this up at the bottom. Okay, line this up good. Then you put the clean edge of the fabric against not this cutting line, but the dotted line. That's 1/4 of an inch in. Then down. Now the reason is normally you cut one way only, but I've got this cutting mat tippy-turvy on the very edge of my cabinet. How do you see how you make that cut by your of an inch? Let's say if I had to cut a 7/8 cut, then I know that is half of that 1/4 inch. So I would line my fabric up right in the middle there. And that way I could cut an 7/8 of an inch. So now I'll put my fabric out of the way. And I wanted to tell you why I just cut the long piece 3 3/4, because that's the hardest cut to make. Now the whole piece has been done with the hardest cut. 5 1/2 is easy. I got 5 1/2 all over the place on this thing. And what I need is a 3 3/4 times 5 1/2. And I do believe this is one. Let me check. Yep, 3 3/4 and 5 1/2. So that's what this is. All right. So now what I do, so I did that with anything that I had a 3/8 or a 3/4. To make my long strips, I cut the tricky one into the long strip, because that one cut saves me how much concentration on the cuts all the way down. So do that tricky thing for the length, for the bulk of it. Then I'm going to I only cut through 4 layers at a time. So I'm going to line up the ends of these strips here. And see, I love cutting these strips. Lay this so these ends meet. I have not cut off the selvages, so I'm going to get ready and cut off the selvage. So I only do 4 layers at a time. That would be 2 strips folded, okay? Then I bring my shape cutter back over here, and I trim off a 1/2 inch for those selvages. So I just have to put my cutter in the line. There we go. So now I've cut off the 1/2 inch. Selvages are gone. So now, let me get my bigger cutting mat. Hold on just a second, guys, because I want to show you how amazing this can be. Woo! Here is what. She's the spokesman for this company. All right, so now I lay this on here. Now I'm going to back out just a little because this is a big cutting mat. All right. Let me see if I can do it this way. I'm left-handed, so I tend to do things opposite of what you would if you're not left-handed. And I'm going to turn it around. All right, that way you can see it better. Okay. Whoa. Yep, don't knock over the camera, girlfriend. All right, bring it in. Okay, not quite that far. All right, so I line up the first cutting line, which is also the 0 line with the clean edge. Then I go over here to 5, cut. 5 1/2 or 11. I cut again at 11. 11 plus 5 1/2 is 16 1/2. Wait, whoops, I was almost to the wrong one. 16 1/2. So without moving this ruler, I've got 4, 6, 8, and let me see if I've got enough of this. But anyway, you get my point that I cut the strips the width that's the hard one to cut, and then save the rest for the easy. Now let me see. I put this at 0. These are just going to pretty cool. So that was 2 strips. I've got 6 to cut. I'll do the rest later. You don't have to. We'll get it completely done and in its little baggie after this sewing. So then that quilt is all prepared for. Now, you probably want to ask, well, what about your other class, Deb? That other class is the problem. Hold on, this is uneven. Oh, the hard unit measurement. The hard unit to cut was 3 3/4. Now that's not, but so hard. But on a shape cut ruler, the lines are only every 1/2 inch. So I had, at first when I saw I needed 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. That's an odd measurement, right? My first thought was make a whole bunch of 5 1/2 inch strips. But I said, but then Deb, if you have this long strip, you're having to cut 3 3/4. And that's not something you can do by just lining. So how would I? Good question. And I love good questions. Thank you. I will show you. Okay. Because I did have 1 3/8. So I'm going to show you how do you cut a 1 3/8. That is such a good question. I like it. And sometimes you can measure up, but I'm going to use a nice dark color so you can see. Okay. All right. I must have been using this for an applique. Do you see the fusible? See the shiny fusible and the red outline? That's so cute to see that. I wonder what I was making. Some squiggly something. All right. So I'm going to use this fabric right here. That way you can see it good. And let me come back down here. This dumb camera stand. Hold on just a second. I apologize. All right. I'm getting not quick enough. All right. So I'm going to lay this out, then get my shape cut ruler, and I'm going to make you a 1 3/8 inch square. Okay. First thing I would do, take and cut the selvage and pull it down. Now, pull it down as far as you think you have to, and then just kind of rub it to make it lay back down. All right. So now, let me move this and move the camera in so you can see. All right. We're going to do 1 3/8 inch. Okay. Well, 1 3/8 is almost 1 1/2. So if I had this right here, so what on the ruler, about 1/8 of an inch. Now let me show you. Let me show you that, okay? Here's the 1/4 inch dotted line. I'm going to move the fabric so it's halfway between that 1/4 inch and halfway between the exterior side right here. See that? This is the first cutting line. I don't have it in as far as 1/4 of an inch. It's right here in between. So then when I come and do my cut, I cut on 1 1/2 because I work less than 1 1/2. Now, let me show you. Let me cut it off here. And just to trim up where I tore it so that you can see, I'm going to show you how this comes out to 1 3/8. All right. So I put it on the edge here for you to see. Here is the one, see the 1 inch right there. And these little marks, each one of these little marks is an 1/8. So I line it up with this 1 inch over here and look where I am. See how it's lined up here, and look, see right there? It is, because this is a 1/2, and it ends up right there, which is 3/8, because it's 1, 2, 3. Look at that. See? And the nice thing about doing this is because it's too hard. It's so much easier not to have your ruler shift with this kind of ruler than having a narrower one. So does that make any sense? So now, if you wanted to take and cut this into 1 3/8 inch squares, watch that. I'll do that, and that'll reinforce it. So I'm going to cut and a square. What I'm going to do is take that fresh end right there and put it not on this dotted line, which is a 1/4 inch, not on the cut line, which is a full, but right in between. See, I don't know if you can see it good, but it's right in between. So then if it's halfway there, then I take my cutter, put it on 1 1/2, because see, you're not all the way to the edge. Put it on 1 1/2 and cut. And now you have a perfect 1 3/8 inch square. You can always tell if you're square, because when you fold it in half, it makes a perfect triangle. Okay? So, there you go. Now, does that answer your question? So I love these Shake and official commercials. Cut your cutting time by 75%. That's amazing. But to me, it just gives me more accurate cuts. So, all right. So, okay, buffering. You know what? It's probably the weather, you know, because I'm sure that we're not the only. We had the lighter touch of the ice storm. So I hope I'm here. I hope you understand. Crafting. I love to hear Jamie talk about crafting. Crafting puts joy in your life. And let me tell you, there are so many things in this life that we have to do. You have to feed your kids. You have to pay bills. You have to pay car insurance. You have to do all that kind of stuff. Crafting is something for your soul. It feeds your soul. And if you're just working nonstop day and night, that's not a good life. You know, people talk about the good old days. Are you kidding me? I used to work at a museum. I got to see living history people try to enact just a fraction of what those people had to do every day. You know the phrase, peas porridge hot, peas porridge cold, peas porridge in the pot 9 days old? They're serious. You kept that pot on that arm in the big fireplace. It would cool overnight. I don't even want to talk about what kind of bacteria were growing in that stuff. And then the next day, whatever you could find, you'd throw in there, whether it was turnips, whether it would be a little piece of meat or whatever. You had no refrigeration. Oh, anyway. So I don't want to talk about the good old days because they're right now. Trust me. So, and you know, our grandmothers and great-grandmothers, they didn't have time to craft. Quilting, they had to do to keep themselves warm. The first quilt that was done, I mean, if you were wealthy, you could do a broderie purse, something, you know, just to show off. But it was until the Victorian era that some people with some time and money were able to do crazy quilts. And so crafting is a modern phenomenon. And we're darn lucky to have vacuum cleaners and dishwashers and washing machines and grocery stores where you can go buy your rotisserie chicken made. And so we're lucky. It's a good life, guys. Don't forget that. I know things can get overwhelming and health issues and financial issues. And I hope none of you are federal workers that right now are furloughed. I used to be. My ex-husband was Civil Service Defense Department. And during the Clinton era, when there was that layoff, we were scared to death. We lived paycheck to paycheck. And what do? So I am there for you, gals. I understand. So anyway, now, next Sunday, I'm glad you asked me that. Bonnie, you're so good. She's so good. She's my Ed McMahon, guys. She really is. But she's cuter, too, and smarter, I think. So good job. Next Sunday, I'm going to try to do a live stream from the hotel. I'm going to try. Now, I don't know what quality the internet service is, but I told Mark it's a resort. It better have good internet. And it's January, so it's definitely off season. And Sunday afternoon, nobody's going to be there. I'm staying over till Monday because I was going to leave Monday tomorrow, but I knew the weather was going to be iffy. So I changed it from Tuesday through Sunday. So next Sunday, 3 o'clock, I'm going to try. If I'm not here, please forgive me. I would have tried and maybe it didn't work, but I think it will work. When I went to the retreat, I did the live stream from the retreat and from my camper. So this is bound to work. So yeah, Bonnie is a champ. She's amazing and types 95 words a minute. And if you don't believe me, look at how many times she types. And when I ask her a question, I mean, a few seconds, boom, there's the answer. Thank goodness. But all of y'all are so wonderful. I love Busy Pat. I love Michelle. I mean, I love all of you guys. Diane 57, Patty Chamberlain. I hope Patty Chamberlain's okay. Because can you imagine if this storm gets to Maine, what it does in Maine? And in D.C., I mean, they've been walloped by snow. And Kat from one of our cyber quilters groups, she can't get out of her house. I mean, they're stuck in. They got enough snow that, so around the whole region. That's the one thing that I've been curious about is these storms now cover half the country. So, all right. So we handled, I talked to you about I got to tell you this. Okay. Usually by a window in hotels. Thank you, Jamie. That's great. That's great. And if I get to do a live stream, I'll show you the ocean because I'm supposed to have a view. If I look out the window and hold my tongue just right, I might be able to see the ocean. So I'll make sure to show you. All right. So I showed you about my quilt. Now, so that's the part of this retreat, or it's not really a retreat, it's a class. But I have a Saturday class. The Saturday class is a quilt done by Shabby Fabrics. You know Shabby Fabrics. I'm sure you've seen her YouTubes. Lovely. It's called Blooming Butterflies. And it starts out at the bottom with tulips. And the tulips kind of morph into a rainbow of butterflies up into the sky. Then it's edged with prairie points all the way around. Well, I found the fabric for that. Great. I'm using my stash for all of this. I'm so proud of myself. I get myself a point. So that's pretty cool. Because I hadn't gone out in time and bought my fabric. In fact, I had forgotten I had bought this blue ribbon quilt pattern. I just hadn't downloaded it. So I went through a panic going, I found the charge on my debit card, but I don't know what I did with it. And then looked through all the emails and found out. So this was a week ago. I thought, I've got to make sure I have everything for these classes. I couldn't believe how fast it was coming up. So I went and looked up Blooming Butterflies. And of course, I'm not going to buy it from the first vendor I see. I want to get the best price. So I found it. I made the purchase and forgot to hit the confirm button. If I had hit the confirm button, I would have the pattern in my hand. I didn't find out that I didn't hit the confirm until this past Wednesday. Now, I'm leaving Tuesday morning, and I didn't find out until Wednesday. So then I ordered the pattern, but it was at night. So meaning they didn't even see it. If they were lucky, or I was lucky, they didn't see it till Thursday. And I wrote on the message, I'm really sorry. I did a stupid thing. I forgot to hit confirm. My order of last week, of course, then didn't go through. Is there any way you could send this out immediately? I said, if not, since you have my payment, because I pay with PayPal immediately, comes out of my bank account. And I said, could you maybe scan it for me? But see, I don't know if that breaks copyright laws, even though I paid for it. But I said, if there's anything you can do, please, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I've got to go out of town and I'm not going to have this. So I haven't heard from them. And I talked really nice and said, please and thank you. And I haven't even heard from the company. Now, could be good news, could be bad news. They did put the PayPal through, so they're not until they process the order, they're not supposed to put the PayPal through. But I don't know. I was kind of hoping one of the people at that company maybe had done something ditzy like this at one point in their past and thought, we feel bad for her. She's a ditz. But I don't know. So I'm leaving in 36 hours? And I don't know if I'm going to have a pattern. So I always like to tell you my successes and my what were you thinking, girlfriend? And this was definitely a what were you thinking? So I've got my fabric and I might not have a pattern. Well, I can look at a picture. I'll just have to make it up. I don't know. So luckily it is applique. So I can draw a butterfly. Yeah, I can draw a butterfly. And I can figure out what size spray points to make. So that's I can't believe it. I hope I'm still here. I just looked down and it doesn't look like it's moving. And it said, oh, you leaving the site? No, I'm not leaving. So I'm going to show you if you're still, oh, good, you're still here. Okay. I'm going to show you the Bargello. I wanted to have a tutorial for you and to show you all the different ways. I didn't have time to prepare it, but I have a handout. Yeah, it is a handout, but I will put it on the website. This is how to make a Bargello quilt pattern. And it is by Crystal Jakovich for favequilts.com, F-A-V-E quilts.com. Updated August 8, 2018. I found it online because, online is the best. And let the camera, there you go. So I printed this out and I will, if you want, in fact, I can probably, Fave Quilts, let me write it in here, guys. favequilts.com. And the pattern, the instructions were by Crystal Jakowicz. So if you go to that website, you should be able to find it. If not, for our our Yahoo group people, I will put it on our Yahoo group because this is pretty cool. So let me show you. Let me bring this one up closer. Okay, guys? Whoops. I got stuff on the floor. Hold on, guys. I'll be right back. I promise. I promise. Okay. All right. This I did years ago. Pretty sure we did this in the Quilt Guild that I used to run. But it looks hard, but I promise you it's not hard, okay? And you were like, how is that not hard? See some of the little pieces? Well, there's a couple things to know. You're going to be making strip sets. And this is a strip set. It's when you sew. Now in here, let me count how many different types of fabrics I have. Okay, guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 different fabrics. And the more fabrics you have, the prettier the design is, honestly, because it gives you more of a graduated effect. Okay? So what you do is you sew a strip of the off-white next to a strip of the light gray, then the darker gray, then the even darker, then the lavender gray, the lavender, the purple, a darker purple, an even darker purple, and the black. And you start, then that. So this is a strip of, it's like this, but 10 fabrics. Okay? So you sew those strips together. This is the key. Our grandmothers to make something like this, and this came from a needlepoint pattern called Bargello. And it was named Bargello because it was found, this needlepoint pattern was found in the 1500s on a chair in the government building in Bargello, Italy, I think. Yeah. And so that's where the name Bargello comes from. All right. And it's a variation of flame stitch. If any of you have ever done needlepoint, crewel work, it is a Bargello, a flame stitch, pardon me. All right. So the most important thing in making a really good Bargello is looking at values. Value is the darkness or lightness of an intensity of a color. So she's one that recommends taking the colors you want to use, putting them on your copier, and printing out a black and white copy. I assume that that's what she says, but anyway. So, but what you're trying to get, and she purposely shows you this without using the colors. Now, in this one, she's not using as many colors. She's only using about 5. That's fine, too. And she's repeating them. See how she's repeating them in this strip set? Okay. But you Bonnie is so funny. Okay. All right, so there. All right. Now, so you make this strip setup. She did a double strip set. And then you sew it into a tube. You might wonder, why a tube? And you decide what length is comfortable for you to work. It might be 20 inches. It might be 40 inches of the strips. And you sew them into a tube. Okay? And you can picture that if you sewed this, if you put 2 together, if you sewed it into a tube, you'd have a light against a light. But you'd have all the variations in between in order. Now, when you sew them in a tube, you then are going to take and cut that tube. You iron it flat. Iron the tube flat along the seam. Okay? So you have a seam along the top and a seam along the bottom. Okay? Now, to make a Bargello impressive, you vary the widths of your rows. Because if your rows are wide, then your mountain goes down slower. If your widths are narrow, it makes a sharp point. And if you have narrow going down a hill, like right here, look how much sharper this is than this one. I mean, it's a totally different angle. You've got this angle, then you've got this angle. See the difference? So what you have to decide when you're designing your Bargello is where do you want the curve to go slowly and where do you want it to go steeply? And what makes that happen is the widths that you cut it. So see here, she's got it from like 1 1/2, 1 3/4, 2, 2 1/4, 2 1/2, 2 3/4, 3, 3 1/4, and so on. So what you decide is how many of each one. So if you take graph paper and you draw it, and she shows here that she's got it wide for this one in the center, and then they go narrower as you go out to either side. But when you take graph paper, you draw it the way you want and decide where you want it narrow, where you want it wider, but do vary it because it gives most of the Bargellos I've done center point. And my center points are usually narrow, so I might pick the narrowest one to be my center. and then I work off of that. Usually I'm a symmetrical kind of gal, so my center might be 1¼ inches. The ones on either side might be 1½ or 1¾ and I do the same width on either side of that. So you have to draw out how you want it to go up and down by the width of that fabric, of that strip, and mark it out, write everything down so that you've got it worked out good. And then what you do is, while that strip has been ironed flat, you cut off your widths. So your first one, decide what widths, how many of what. Don't worry about where the colors fall. It's in a tube, so it's endless. Don't worry about that. Just make sure the tube is flat and you cut. Like I need 4 1/4 3 3/4, 2 3 inches, 4 2 3/4, whatever. Have it written down and then cut those. And you're going to have to make a couple tubes. You can't get a whole quilt out of just one tube. So you just make a record of what you're cutting. Make sure you have enough. Now, then you take all these tubes and you put them in order that you want your Bargello. So where do you want your skinniest ones? Where do you want your fattest ones? And lay them out and then put numbers on them so you know go from left 1 to right 45, how many strips you have. Decide at what point are you going to start. Okay, let's say we start over here. I knew I wanted the black to be the seventh block down. See it? This is my black one. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 above that. Then I take the strip right here and I find the black one and then I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the lighter ones. Where the 6th and the 7th seam is, I use my seam ripper and I open the seam. Then I lay it so that now it falls from the 6th lightest up here, to the 6th lightest all the way down. So does that make sense? And you go along and you do the same thing. You take the strip that's your second one and you go 1 up or down from that other one. So the next one on this one, I only had 5 lighter colors than the black. Open that seam up, let it hang. And then you can't cut a tube. It gets crooked. Okay. Just be very careful in how you line up the seam allowances. This is a quilt where it really pays to have this. Use only one machine. Now, that's another tip. Your seam allowances vary from machine to machine. So when you have a gal like Miss Diana, Wright, who has a bazillion machines, pick one, sew the whole Bargello on it. Pick one. Because that way it has a uniform seam allowance and everything will match up. And be careful. Be careful with your cutting and be careful with your putting the long strips together. This is not something where you're watching TV going and sewing them together. No, you got to make sure that's a good 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, so that's pretty much it. Now, if any of you look this up, and you'll see here how she's got it, lining up. She's got her own pattern. Each pattern has it a little different. You know what? I was supposed to bring, darn it, I was supposed to bring over here 2 quilts. I'll have to do it the next time I'm here. But I was going to bring over my 2 fabric Bargello. Forgot. I was going to bring over a basket weaving quilt that I did for one of my daughters. So in 2 weeks, I will do that. I still have the note down here. I will do that. All right, so that's a quickie tutorial on Bargello. I'll now push this back out of the way. Ta-da! All right, but I will put this up on the site, so let me leave it over here so I don't forget. And are you ready? Let me check for any questions you have, and then we'll go straight to the beach landscape. Yes. Oh, we did do Quilt As You Go. You're right. Thank you, Michelle. What we did is we had our batting and our backing. And as we sewed each consecutive piece, right sides together, and we had the batting and the backing, like spray adhesive or basted or something together. And then as you sew the pieces on and put right sides together, sew a seam and flip it, you're right. That was quilted at the same time it was made. Thank you, Michelle. Boy, y'all are good. Okay. So y'all are funny. Y'all are funny. Oh, I know Bonnie would. Yeah, her 3 Fs would be totally different. Have you seen George Carlin? So, I watched, I like this guy named Ron White, but he's gotten too nasty over time. I watched his latest off Netflix, and I'm not a prude, but it wasn't funny. It's like, come on, Ron, come up with actual material. Don't just use nasty talk. So, anyway, I am sure there is a video. Look on YouTube and look on Quilt As You Go Bargello, and I bet you'll find it. If not, when I come back from my retreat, I'll put it on my Deb, make a video list, which keeps getting longer because I haven't made a video lately. He did change, didn't he? And I don't know if it's turning 60, but he's got to work harder, develop real material. I also saw Ellen DeGeneres on Netflix. Oh, God, it was so funny. We were cracking up. So it shows you don't have to be nasty to be funny. It was so great. So, yeah, he's kind of gotten off the rails, and he needs to actually say stuff that's funny. Give me Ellen DeGeneres any day. Okay, so I did remember to get blacks, whites, and grays for this quilt. And that's where I love ombres. If you have a chance to get ombres, oh, yes, I love Ellen's. She's so, do you think that's what it is, Diana? He talked about it, but I didn't know if it was true or not. But, Jordan Fabrics. I love Jordan Fabrics. Okay, so now let's get back to this landscape. People's, and, those of y'all who belong to our Yahoo group have seen Bonnie's LaFleur. Oh, my gosh, Bonnie, it is so great. Well, he has a drink in his hand during the show, Ron White does, but I kept thinking, I was hoping it was iced tea, and but maybe it's not. So, okay, here we go. But, I try not to be too critical sometimes with these people. I give them the benefit of the doubt because I know how much I lose my words and sometimes, and I think, well, maybe they're just getting older, and he and I are the same age, so, but I noticed he was having some hard times with that, too. I am so tickled. I'm so, good job. Oh, you're stitching it on. I can't wait to see the latest update of pictures. You want to do, Diana? Okay, we've got to get you on the site. I don't know. Bonnie, do you have the email address to download the LaFleur, and then I can always send her all the accompaniments I've got. But if not, I'll get her later. Don't worry, because you deserve to work on yours. So I had people who aren't regulars on our site call and ask for the patterns. I was very tickled. And they probably got the patterns and then said, what the heck is this? And remember I told you, when you find a fabric you really like for something, get your piece of masking tape and write on there what it's for. Because I do tend to forget. Okay, let's see. This is a mini laundry basket that I got from the dollar store. And I love it because I can put my project back in there until the next time I work on it. Yes, it is on the Yahoo site. It definitely is. Okay, guys. I always call y'all guys, but I know most of y'all, almost all y'all are girls. I just mean, yo, peoples. So, all right. Boy, I got a lot of fabric here. Okay. So I'm going to pull my handy dandy little stand over. Put my basket on this stand. Oh, I wanted to show you some fabrics I bought recently. And look at this. It goes from the land to the ocean up to the sky. Isn't that beautiful? So that's the kind of thing I look for nowadays. All right. So tired of coughing. Ugh. Okay. So all my dogs are doing good. Mia didn't want to really eat much today, but she had her shots yesterday. So here is the beach scene I'm working on. So let me put that here. And I was going to tell you, if you wanted to, and sometimes the reason I don't, but if you wanted to, you could use fusible, fuse it to the backs of the fabrics. So then when you want to put them in, you could fuse them down instead of using the glue. The reason I don't is because fusibles are expensive. Glue's a lot cheaper. And I never know exactly, I don't plan ahead enough to have the stuff fused. And I don't want to fuse it if I'm not really ready for that yet. So, let me see here. I'm going to get my glue. Come on, glue. Now I put you over here. All right. So I'm just going to do some more work on the sky. Let's put some of these in. I can always fill in later. But, and I just sit here, I look at my picture, and I plop this down. And remember how I showed you, it doesn't have to be perfect. I promise, I promise, I promise. Because you can move everything around whenever you're ready. Okay, so this one I'm going to put here. Because this, oh yeah, there you go. That's good. All right, now I do need to add some whites. So I've got white here. I do need to add some blacks. So I've put the blue here, but I think this I'm going to use for along the sand, okay? So you see this. Let me pull it a little bit closer. And I've leaned back. Now you can tape the pattern to the muslin, but I like to pin it because the tape tends to come loose. But this is going to be for along here. And, ooh. Oh, look at this. I love these Bargellos. Jamie. Oh. Diana Wright made 52 quilts last year? Ah. Oh, let me tell you, it's going to be great inspiration when I go. And this is an actual photograph someone took at a beach here in North Carolina. So I'm excited about that. And let me go in a little bit closer here. Whoops. Whoops. Down. All right. Because I don't want you looking at me. I want you to look at this. All right. So what I'm doing, I'm kind of looking here. I want to, this water is a kind of grayish, whitish yellow. See this water along this edge? So, let me look again. Ooh. Ooh, this is good. This is good. I can put in some of this along here. And let's say I can't find yellow in a fabric that I want to put along here. don't worry, because you know what? I've got ink tints, paints, and pencils. I can always come in and add a little yellow. That's not a worry. Oh, this would be pretty along. Trying to recreate right now this right here, because I've got this wet part of the sand, and I'm going to end up cutting this. Right now I'm just laying it there, and I'm auditioning. That's what I like to call it, auditioning fabrics. So let's see. Aha, remember I found this. And remember, the water is a reflection of the sky and vice versa. So I think I'm going to take this out, and I might use this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is this is going to go up here like this. All right, now I get my scissors, and this edge, the lighter part of this I'm going to have towards the sand. This darker part, what I do first is this line has a curve to it. I don't know if you can see it has a curve. So I'm going to cut that into this. Hold on a second. So maybe what I'll do is come up here. Yeah, I'll come here and cut, because I want to leave the lighter of the black. I want to leave that. Yeah, this is better. Okay. All right. So now I cut this here, and then I cut this side. What I'm going to do is get some of my handy dandy tailor's chalk. I think, let me see if I can find a white and yellow and blue. No, where is my, well, I have been using it a lot lately, but who knows. Oh, here's white right here in front of me. Okay. So I'm going to get out my tailor's chalk. See, it's just a little, you can get them for like $2.25, different places. And I'm going to take and draw this line that the wave makes up against this dark. So this looks like a good width here. So I'm going to come along, and it has a slight dip in, and then it has a slight dip out, and then this comes like that. See that little hook there? Although I might need to make it a little bit longer. The nice thing is, let's say I should make this longer. Just take another piece of fabric and rub on it, and you can get the marking off. Let's come up. I should have blocked it out. Let's say it's going to be about right here. So, all right. And then it comes in quite a bit and goes, well, I'm getting a little close over here, so I'll make it a little bit wider. Remember what an artist taught me. Do not erase a line until you've drawn the better line in. Because if you erase it, you'll tend to do the same thing again. So these just kind of go dimple, 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 dimple. All right. So now that I've got this line, and I go, does that look close to what this is? Yes, it does. So I'm going to be bold, and I'm just going to come in here, and I'm going to cut. And I might cut it a little bit more curvaceous. That's cool. Okay. Because remember, there really are very few straight lines in nature. Just doesn't happen. All right. I've got to cut this back like this, and then come back. And cut. And I keep cutting it, little curvy. like maybe you've had a little bit too much coffee. And that's okay too. Okay. All right. Now, you ready? Let's see how I did. And what I want to do is wipe off that chalk so I can see what I think of it. All right. I like it. I like it. I like it. Okay. It's going to, so then I'm going to tack it into this corner. Okay. And come along. Well, okay. Put it back down. Have it come up here. And I'm looking, okay, it starts right before the edge here. Okay. And then it comes about 2/3 of the way here. So I'm looking at this going, yep, that's about 2/3. And it has a little bit of a curve. So I get the curve in there. And let me get my iron up to speed. All right. Now let me go ahead and I'm going to, this is under the cloud. Oh, I've got it going too far up. That's what I have. Hold on a second, guys. I forgot to put down my horizon line. That horizon line, I'm going to use this fabric. And it's not as dark as the cloud line. So I think I'm going to go in at about right here. And I'm going to go ahead and tear it because the horizon is pretty straight. And it varies, but it starts out about this wide. Let me press it. Let me press this down. Okay. So here's my horizon line that's going to go right here. And it's thicker, I notice here, and then it just kind of will drift off to very, very little, very, very light. Let me get another little piece. I don't need... All right. So now I'm going to cut this off here. And then I'm going to glue this on here. And it's not going to go that far because then I'm going to have a dark black brown for the land and buildings. And if, let's say, this is too thick than it really is in places, don't worry, I can cover that up with other fabrics. So now, here is the black sand line. And then I need something lighter for it to work its way I think, and I'm just going to cut this as I look at it. All right, so now let me show you what I've got now. All right, here now. And I love that y'all keep conversing because that's what this is about. I can do a little bit of teaching. Y'all can do a lot of talking. That's wonderful. I love it. I love it. So now I need a little bit more of a strip. but please do. Oh, I have water, I have sky, I have sand, I have rocks and bricks, I have type of things that, okay, let me see. And that way I can go, as I just sit in them segregated, there we go. Okay, bring this to touch. All right, so I've got this part here. Now what I have to do is go in and be brave and cut that water, that piece for the water. What did I do with it? Here it is. I'll have to do it in a few pieces. All right. So all right, let's see. Okay, so now what I was doing is seeing this right around here. Although this ends with another wave here. So you see what I'm doing now? Okay. Trying to kind of glistening there. I don't want to waste any of this fabric, so I'm going to kind of cut it in bits and then kind of merge it. So, all right, this is good. Put that there. Okay, so that's kind of tucked under. Okay. Oops. All right. I like this. So now I'm going to glue it down. Bring my iron over. And my iron helps dry the glue quickly. All right. So I need some light areas that aren't necessarily filled with sun. So let me cut some out of this. And it's just a matter of cutting and pasting what I think I'm seeing. And what I see is different from what you see. So even if we did these together, they wouldn't be the same. So I've got this here. Then I decide which piece of fabric goes under, which piece of fabric goes over. It's totally subjective, okay? All right. Whoops. Come on, lay down, stay there. Let me get this iron over here. The iron really does help keep things in place. She says as she quickly puts some more glue on this. All right. So now there's a dark line of clouds. So I go back to, dark line of waves. Yes, I think I need some of this. Okay, where's the piece I've already cut? Here it is. I think I need some little snippets of this. Hold on just a second. What I'm going to do is the frothy part of the waves will be last. That's the special. The lighter, the more intense. The accents come later. All right, so this goes up a ways, and it's like in here. Okay, so now I'm going to start working in here. Okay, I'm going to have some wave line, then come in with the frothy parts. Okay, so then I'm going to come along. I'm looking right here. Whoops, now you can't see it. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm looking right here at this wave line. Right there, okay? Oh, lace is a great idea. Lace is a great idea. What I plan to do is to use a white and then do thread painting to get my frothy waves. So I'm going to start with here with this and come up to a large part. Then it goes back down like this. And then it goes back up and to nothing. Okay. All right. All right, so now from here, this kind of comes under. Let me trim this down. But you'll see why I love doing landscape quilts, because it reminds me of when I was a kid. And when we had just fun with crayons, and I made this kind of goes on a little bit longer than I planned. So let me shorten this up. It's a little too long. All right, so I can bring it back to like here. Actually, it's too... Okay. I have to keep... For me, the hard part is keeping perspectives, keeping the placing right. So I have to keep double checking. And that's okay. Nothing wrong with double checking. That's why I was telling you this is just fabric. It's not anything expensive. It's nothing that's going to change your life. It's just fabric. Okay. All right. So and then once this is glued down, then what I do is I will come back over at the end of it and do thread painting over it, or use monofilament and get it to stay put. Okay, so sometimes it can get a little trickier. Whoops, this is too close to this. Move this. Okay. So I'm doing some of the darker parts, and don't worry if it looks too big, because I'll just put the white frothy parts over that. Now I talked about doing some of this as the underneath frothy part. It's just a matter of how and where you put. I work from the colors back forward, and so this, I'm just going to kind of, okay, and I'm going to end this one. And I kind of just look at the edge and kind of follow what it does. Okay, so this is the beginning. This is the underneath part of the frothy. All right, and here, it looks a little too big, so I'm going to have to come in and trim it down. Little too big. And remember, you know, don't keep your hand, don't make your cut straight. Act like you've had a little bit too much caffeine. Okay, so here we go. This is going to butt right up under the black top part of the waves. Okay. This is the undercolor of the frothy part of the wave. All right. All right. I think I'm going to go lighter than this. Let me try a little bit of white. All right. So now I'm going to take and put a little touch of glue here. And if you notice, the white is kind of in the middle of all of this. So let me see. There's some of the frothy part of the wave. I'm going to cut some more. Okay. All right, so are you seeing that now? Just to kind of give you, okay, does that help? But I'm just doing layers, layers and layers. I'm trying to do as much of the color as I can with fabric, because I can always come back and I can do But see how many different layers I've got. I can always come back and add more. And then I'm going to come back in behind this and put a nice gray. Probably this is going to go behind this. So do you see I'm just adding layer upon layer? And it's going to work. It's going to work. And like this, I'm not sure that's the right shape. I might redo it. That is easy because I will just come in here and okay. So this I thought was a little bit too far down. So now watch what I'll do. See? And now I think it's a lot closer to the photograph. And I brought it down a whole half an inch. So I like that. All right. And I want to take time. See, there's two different colors of water back in here. So I don't want to rush too much, but I could come in here. Because you don't have to have you don't have to make everything at once. What you do is you come in here, a layer at a time. All right. So I'm going to lift these up and come and lay this. The nice thing about the glue is it's very easy to get it to lift up. Okay. What confused me just then is I actually cut this fabric upside down. But I like it. It gives me a nice light color. And so now I have that. And then I'll come back with this next layer. This will be my last piece. I come in here with this next layer of the other end of the fabric where the gradient is a lot sharper. Now this one's going to touch this is going to touch that. So let me do a pretty straight line along here, cutting. Okay, ready? This will be the last piece for today. All right, so do you see what I've got? These are going to be waves, and I'll put more definition later on. Right now, I'm just color blocking, okay? Putting in blocks of colors that are going to make it work. Does this make sense? And I'm just doing what I see, because this is my world. That's a photograph. That's actual. Mine is an interpretation. I'm not copying that. This is my own. So here's what I'm getting, and I am going to need more of a pale yellow in here. I might add it by ink tints, or I might get bold and put a pale yellow fabric in there. But I will look into that, and then I will finish here with a little bit darker of, a very light shade, probably like this. but it is just a touch darker than the white. So, but this is how it's going. And, you know, we're just going to keep doing this every week until we, till we finish. It'll take a while. All right, guys. Let me bring the camera back up. Don't you wish you were here to help me clean this up? All right. Hello. Whoops, I still have it zoomed in. All right. So, whoops, that's it. All right. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I can tell you? Let me look at this. I am going to clean this up good, though, because you know what? It's too frustrating when you don't put it away well and then you start to do another one. So what do we have? All right. Oh, you like that? Good, Diana. Thank you. Well, it just kind of gives you an idea. And, you know, your creative process can be totally different than mine. But just remember that if I let you know why I'm doing it, then you can figure out if that works for you or not. And I've taken a class here or there on landscape quilts, but kind of it's what I've developed that works for me. I'm a very visual person, so for me to try to read something, I would rather just sit here and do it and have you show it. And, you know, I might pull some of these out and go, oh, I didn't like that. It didn't work for me. Now I'm going to try this. And that's all part of the process, too. So I take you with me and show you what works and what doesn't. And hopefully we'll arrive at a good place. I do know I need to finish my little field and my rusty truck and my lambs. It's hard for me sometimes because sometimes the quilts, landscapes especially, take a turn and I'm like not sure what to do, or I kind of just lose interest in it. And that can be part of it. And it's like, do I really want to spend the time that I need to bring this back to where I'm happy with it? And, you know, all of this is a learning process with me. So I need to show you my rooster quilt again. I know it's been on some of my videos, but that's one landscape quilt I'm very happy with. And so, all right, well, I'll see you next week. I don't know if I'm going to pack this up to take it with me. What I may do is just show you some scenes of the beach and give you inspiration from a real beach. And understand that North Carolina doesn't have those sugar sand beaches of Florida and the Gulf Coast. But that's okay. We just have, it's a whole different, I did marine biology in high school. I spent a summer doing marine biology. And we just have a very different kind of water. Chesapeake Bay area. And depending on what kind of plant life and ocean life, it's all different. So, but each one's beautiful in its own way. I'll tell you one funny, real quick thing. Our instructor, we were out in the field a lot, and he threw something and said, "Here, catch it." Well, when we saw something flying at us across this little inlet, it was a crab. Well, we all know you don't mess with crabs, they'll bite you. We didn't know it was a soft-shell crab. So when he said, "Here, catch this," we jumped back. The thing hit the ground, splat, like an egg. He was so upset because, you know, crabs are only soft shell for just a couple hours. He was going to take that puppy home and cook it. And instead, it hit the ground and splat. We felt so bad. But I wish he had said, "It's a soft shell crab, it won't hurt you." So that's my funny for today. Anyway, I didn't earn an extra good grade for that move, let me tell you. All right, guys. Well, it's so good seeing you. I haven't had it. When I do these, I don't see much. I don't get to see your chat, but I'll read it later. It's always fun. And we're going to have a gift exchange first week of February. We have zoomed past 700 subscribers, so it's time to celebrate again. And we know we have plenty of great stuff from Miss Bonnie. So that will look to the first week in February, and I hope to see you next weekend from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where it's going to be 65 degrees. Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! All right, and I'll be working hard in those classes. Hopefully I'll have some, I'm going to try to do videos during the week to show you the actual classes, to show you what we're working on and what it's like. So if you ever get a chance to go, you'll have a foot up on that ladder. All right, take good care. I'm crazy about all of y'all. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for your thumbs up. Thank you for your support. You're wonderful. And I love our Sundays together. Take good care. Have a good week. Feed your soul. That's what life's about. Bye-bye, guys. Mwah. Bye-bye, sweeties. Take good care of yourself. You're worth it. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, guys.